a giant puppy made of live flowers, a ceramic likeness of the late Michael Jackson, not to mention a titanium balloon dog that broke records in the art market when it sold for $58 million in 2013. Jeff Koons' work has long divided critics, with some pointing the finger at a pop artist who's outstayed his 15 minutes of fame, while others applaud his bombastic interpretation of our consumer society. Now he's donated one of his pieces to the city of Paris as a gesture of friendship. Jeff Koons, thanks so much for joining us on France 24. You've just donated your piece, Bouquet of Tulips, to the city of Paris and the people of France. What does this sculpture represent for Franco-American relations?
Ambassador Hartley, Jane Hartley, American ambassador to France and Monaco, contacted me that she had an idea that she really wanted to give something to the French people. And it's a work that really tries to celebrate the relationships, the values that Americans and the French hold dear of liberty and freedom, and show solidarity, and to show an offering of remembrance to the victims of the terrible tragedies that have happened in France over the last 2 years. And at the same time to give hope to the surviving family members, and of reconstructing and having a sense of optimism for the future.
And your art was the first contemporary exhibit to be shown here at the Palace of Versailles, juxtaposition with the very historic heritage pieces there. What does France mean to you personally as an artist?
When I was 17, I had my first art history lesson in college. And I remember my art history teacher bringing up a Manet artwork and started to speak about the different images in the painting and how it was Manet's Olympia, and how the black cat may have a meaning in 19th century France, and the bouquet of flowers being offered. There's a bouquet of flowers, the woman lying down. And all of a sudden I realized that art can bring all the human disciplines together. And this is through French culture, and it's through Manet and Courbet and Poussin, really the celebration of the arts. I tie so directly to France.
In the recent presidential election in the United States, you were a supporter of Hillary Clinton, pointing out that she's a strong supporter of the arts. Now that she won't be moving into the White House, what is your role as an artist?
You know, my role as an artist is to be the best human being I can be, to be the best artist I can be, and to continue to promote and share the values that I believe are important to civilization and to our communities. And I hope that the Bouquet of Tulips is one aspect of that. It displays the type of values that I'm speaking about, which are, you know, very dear to all of us.
And how much do you think art can affect or even change politics or society?
Well, I think that you know, art lets people become. It lets you to be able to empower yourself. The art really isn't the object. The art is when you look at something and you experience it, you realize what your potential is and that your parameters can be broader. That's art.
Some critics use the word kitsch when talking about your style, and going on the dictionary definition, kitsch is either bad taste or ironic. What does the word mean to you?
I don't like the word. And the reason that I don't like the word is it's participating in segregation, it's participating in creating a hierarchy, it participates in judgment, and I'm really for the removal of all judgments. And if you remove judgments, if everything can be perfect in its own being, because everything is perfect in its own being, that removes anxiety. And if you remove the anxiety, people are able to reach a much higher level of consciousness.
surfaces are often a key part of your installations and sculptures, and sometimes we, as viewers, can see ourselves in reflective surfaces. How important is the viewer to the experience of your art?
Completely. And I don't think, it's not just my art, but the viewers are very important. There's an art historian at the end of the 19th century, Alois Riegel from Vienna. And he was the first art historian that started to speak about the beholder's share. And the beholder's share is that the viewer completes a work of art. That a work of art can take you to a certain point of view, it can create a certain context that you may view a situation, but then there's a certain amount of ambiguity that the viewer finishes. And I embrace this completely because what happens from that moment, it's really the interests of the viewer, what they are fond of, what their perception can allow them.
When we look at some pieces of your work using objects that are not normally associated with decoration or art, it does bring to mind the French artist Marcel Duchamp. What does this artist mean to you?
Oh, Duchamp is very important to my work. And I like to believe that I've been continuing the dialogue with the ready-made and the idea of the objective. And I feel that maybe over the last several decades, that Duchamp's work has become somewhat dry, over-intellectualized by academics. And I like to believe that I'm involved in reinvigorating and making the ideas that Duchamp worked with accessible and free and open to people the way I think they were intended to be.
Recent pieces you've made reference the old masters, Titian, Degas, Bouquet even. That seems not necessarily an obvious comparison with your style. Can you tell me how that feeds into your artistic process?
Family. It's for me, it's about genes and DNA and the way our biology works, the type of connectivity that we have. Our cultural lives have the same type of connectivity. So, I'm a different person since I came across Manet's work. And Manet is he was a different human being after he saw Goya's. And Goya, Velázquez, and Velázquez when he came across the Greek sculpture of Ariadne. So through art, through connectivity that you have from your cultural life, it can change your genes. We know that they morph, at least for a short period of time. I think that you can pass that on. Science still hasn't proven that completely, but I feel that I'm different. I believe my children are different.
Now, in the past, some critics have called some of your work pornographic, specifically some images made with your ex-wife. Today, in the age of digital media, social networks, do you think it's harder than ever to shock?
I would think those works seem quite timid today, even if you listen to movies and the type of vocabulary that are kind of everyday media. But that body of work was really celebrating the poetic and the idea of the sensual. I love artists like Titian or Giorgione, Boucher, Fragonard. The celebration of kind of the pastoral and of life energy and to connect to the eternal. You have the eternal in kind of two ways. You have biology, you have procreation and the continuation of life energy, and then you have the eternal through ideas. And my work likes to play with both and to embrace both.
Your artwork regularly breaks records at auctions, and we're talking about huge sums of money, tens of millions of dollars. How can we justify spending this kind of money on the realization of an idea, which is art?
I don't feel like I have to justify it because I'm not the one spending those sums. I do know that it's very hard to have anything survive in this world other than ideas. Things that are objects, tend to, through the interactions of just physics, they deteriorate. And so you can only hope that vast sums of money can help things survive, that people will take a little better care that they can survive and hopefully be a benefit to future generations. I'm involved with art because I always just wanted to participate. I love a good gestalt. I love feelings, and I love how feelings kind of lead into ideas. That's what I celebrate. That's what's of value to me. As far as the economics, I really am not connected to that.
So what would you say to people who perhaps believe that art shouldn't be so associated with money?
You know, art is something of this world. It's something involved in our civilizations, our cultures, how we value things, how we protect things. Leads to economics. I think that the type of freedom that the artist has, the type of independence they have, is one of the greatest it's ever been. I mean, prior, an artist would either work for the king or work for the church, or, you know, since the time of the Revolution, you have artists like Courbet and Manet and Picasso, all forging ways how an artist can be independent and create the things that they want to and just have a public as their patron. If people like it, they embrace it. If they don't, they move on.
And as a father, how do you see the art world evolving? What direction will it be going in your children's lifetime?
You know, art has the largest platform it's ever had. People have more accessibility to it. You know, my children can get on their laptop at night and visit all the different collections in the world. They can be in Tokyo 1 minute, then they can be in the Louvre or the Palais de Tokyo. They can be looking at works and printing them out and looking at them and really carry them with them for the rest of their lives. So I think that the platform that art has never been greater.
Jeff Koons, thanks so much for speaking to us today.